here's an example of a haiku poem, an example by Matsuo Basho. As you can see right here, he says, as for that flower by the road, my horse ate it. Okay, that's what.
¿Qué es ate? Ah, que se la come, dice, se la comió.
Dice, es como decir...
es como aquella flor en el camino que mi caballo se comió.
Correcto, exactamente. Como aquella flor en el camino o por la carretera, mi caballo se la comió.
Es demasiado profundo. Es like a filósofo de Güemes.
It's like a philosophy type poetry. He was born near Kyoto. What is Kyoto?
It's a city. It's a Japanese city.
It's yes, it is a Japanese city. And he moved to Edo, which is Tokyo now. In the past, Tokyo was named Edo.
Teacher, teacher, when you when you give us an user for your classes, the password is the same from all of us or not?
When I open the account, yes. When I open the account, the password is CETI1234, CETI123 with a capital C, but it makes you change it to your own password.
Ah, te hace cambiarlo.
Yeah. You gotta, solamente puedes ingresar con esa contraseña temporal al principio. Y es más, tienes que usarla dentro de 48 horas y no tengo que ir a resetearla. Si no entraste y diste de alta tu cuenta y le asignaste tu contraseña permanente, yo tengo que entrar a resetearlo de nuevo y tienes 48 horas para activarla.
Ah, no ha entrado. Es que quería ver si... no, o sea a lo mejor Dani que pudiera entrar con ese usuario, con el otro usuario, y a lo mejor ya tenía menos problemas. Y también pudiera escribir en el chat.
Sí, ambos pueden usar el chat si dejan de entrar como visitantes. Entonces, si ninguno de los dos entró, cuando al principio les puse allí, este es tu usuario y esta es tu contraseña temporal, entre y darlo de alta. Si ninguno de los dos lo hizo, ese usuario todavía está allí, pero está inactivo porque la contraseña temporal se expiró. Entonces yo tengo que entrar de nuevo y activarlo para ustedes. ¿Ninguno de los dos lo hizo?
No.
Qué vergüenza. Estoy entrando ahorita mismo. A ver, entonces, mientras que yo estoy haciendo acá multitasking.
Teacher, do you hear?
Ya ahí salió.
Yes?
Ya te escuchamos, Dani.
Yes, but I am using my cellular phone for voice and computer for the camera. Okay, we could continue, teacher.
Excellent.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, I think you have the option to do that. You have the option to dial the number and connect with a code or something like that. So yeah, it was probably something with the computer not detecting the microphone. Probably. Okay. But do you have any questions on the way we conjugate the verbs in the past? You have irregular verbs, wrote, chose, became, and then you have regular verbs. The regular verbs are the ones where you put an ed. You have establish, and you put an ed. Or you have travel, and you put an ed, traveled, right? Or you have die, and you put a d, died. Join, que es unirse, right? Or you can say you add an ed. Si nada más le agregas d or ed, entonces es un regular verb, and you conjugate it in the past with d or ed or ied. If you have to use a totally new word like write wrote, choose, chose, become, became, am, is, are, was, were, then it is an irregular verb in the past, okay? And we need to get familiar with the irregular verbs in the past, okay? Any questions about irregular verbs? No?
No, teacher?
Well, these are the vocabulary terms. He had admirers, admiradores, emotions, emociones, journey. You know what a journey is?
Viaje.
Viaje. Y generalmente, bueno,
Viaje.
existe un viaje corto, which is a trip.
Trip. Como el
Trip.
viaje a la oficina.
Yeah, that's a trip. Y un viaje largo, ¿verdad? Un destino largo. A eso le llamas journey.
Journey.
Okay. Y esa palabra se usa mucho.
Sí, también es, even is the name of a troca, teacher. A journey.
Yes, a journey is the name of a truck, of a utility vehicle. ¿Quién lo hace? Chrysler?
Sí.
Dodge.
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 A Dodge journey. Journey.
Teacher, I have a question.
Sure.
For example, when you go to the office and you need to take, for example, a train or travel, for example, 1 hour, as I understand, you use the word commute or commuting. Is similar or synonymous of trip, teacher?
Technically, a commute, it repeats itself every day. So if you commute, your commute is your everyday repeated trip. If you repeat the same trip to work every day, that's your commute. Now, a trip is not necessarily a commute unless you repeat it every day. That's the difference. Okay. That's the major difference. Entonces, in the United States, when they announce the traffic report, they usually say your commute to work, if you're traveling northbound on 35, is bad, or your commute to work on LBJ freeway southbound is good, or but the commute means your trip from your everyday trip, basically, is what that means. Okie dokie. So that's what that means, commute. All right, so let's see. Restless. What is restless?
Sin descanso.
Someone, bueno, técnicamente es alguien que no puede descansar. Alguien
que no puede parar.
No puede, no puede descansar, no puede detenerse, no puede parar. No puede descansar. Vamos a usar la palabra descansar porque es más relacionado como eso. Topic es el tema.
Porque rest es descansar, ¿no?
Yes, rest es descansar. Restless es no poder descansar. Entonces, si tú dices, oh, my son is restless, mi niño, tienes un niño y no duerme, then he is restless. No puede dormir.
Sin descanso.
Sin descanso. Restless. Technically, casi cuando le pones less, cuando le pones less a cualquier palabra en inglés, quiere decir sin. So, you can say, a ver, porque no se me ocurre un ejemplo. Vamos a ver. If you're, es más, hasta la palabra. Tú puedes decir, I am moneyless. ¿Cómo?
Or countless, teacher.
Countless, ok. Countless es algo que no se puede contar.
Incontable.
Ok. Moneyless, no hay dinero. O sea, o falta dinero, sin dinero, no hay.
Homeless. Homeless.
Homeless, sin casa. Muy bien, muy buen ejemplo. Homeless, sin casa.
Loveless. Loveless.
Loveless. Loveless.
Workless.
Workless, jobless. Se usa más. Acuérdate que work es generalmente es el hecho de que trabajas, ¿ok? Cuando te refieres a tu trabajo, vas a decir jobless. Jobless es el trabajo que tienes, no algo siempre que estás hablando de obtener un trabajo o adquirir un trabajo o no tener trabajo, vas a usar la palabra job. ¿Ok? Ahora, si todos los días vas al trabajo, vas a usar la palabra work. Porque estás hablando del trabajo que tienes que hacer. Work es el trabajo que tienes que hacer que viene con tu job. Entonces, Mr. Ezekiel has a job and it comes with a lot of work. Básicamente es lo que dirías. I have a job and I have a lot of work. Because in my job, we have a lot of work. Okay. Es más común que utilices la palabra job cuando te refieres a tu trabajo, a tu posición dentro de la empresa. Oh, my job. Inclusive, si alguien te dice, eso es tu trabajo, ¿verdad? Y se está refiriendo a tu obligación o tu compromiso, te va a decir, that's your job. That's your job. Técnicamente. That's the correct way of saying it. Okay. Y ahora, si tienes mucho trabajo, ¿verdad? Como Mr. Easer que puso tenía lots of jale, ¿verdad? He's going to say, I have a lot of work. ¿Verdad? Si no usa el Spanglish. Okidoki.
Okay.
All right, so if we use our examples here, what would you put, Mr. Danny, for number 1? Basho, road, blah, 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 everyday things. ¿Cuál vocabulario utilizarías for number 1?
Basho wrote about, okay, Basho wrote about everyday things. A frog is the, is what admire, is the, how do you say? I don't know how to use teacher because it's not admirers.
No.
A frog is the most famous teacher.
Dice, one of his most famous poems es algo de uno de sus más famosos poemas.
Topic. Okay.
No se pudo aguantar, Mr. Ezekiel.
Sorry.
Es topic. Es el tema de uno de sus poemas más famosos. O sea, él escribía,
maybe topic or matter or something like that.
Right. He wrote about everything. So the topic es el tema. Por eso usualmente les digo, today's topic is bla, bla, bla. O puedes usar la palabra theme, ¿ok? También. Este es un sinónimo.
Theme.
Voy a poner aquí.
Or maybe think. Pues podemos usar think, ¿no, teacher?
Think.
Sí, la cosa.
Eso es un objeto. Cuando te refieres, technically no tiene nada que ver con a thing es un objeto.
Pero no significa algo, cosas.
Bueno, sí, es algo, pero refiriéndote a un objeto, generalmente tiene que ser algo físico. Thing. ¿Verdad? No tiene que, pero 8, 9, 10 veces tema or topic and theme is more correct if you're putting a title on to the lesson. The correct word is topic. Or if you're having a meeting, a meeting, you're going to say today's theme, our meeting theme is blah blah blah. Okay. Then teacher, you can say
teacher.
Yes.
Danny has the hand up.
Oh, sorry, Danny. What's your comment?
No, teacher, continue. I pushed it by mistake at the moment I tried to fix the audio.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll tell you what, Mr. Danny, maybe you can give us number 2. Maybe this time Mr. Easy will let you do it.
Okay. Basho student and admirers loved him and called him a great poet.
So Basho students and admirers. Admirers, correct.
And his fans.
His fans, basically. Yeah, fans is a synonym of admirers. Fans is the casual word.
And his YouTubers.
Yeah, the YouTubers, the followers. Now we have
the followers.
Now we have followers. With today's new technology, now we have followers.
Yeah, Jesus Christ has had a lot of followers in his time.
Yeah, I think Mr. Ezekiel has a lot of followers in the Rayados page.
And the Rayados group, teacher.
Rayados group has a lot of followers. Yeah.
It's 169,000.
Whoa, that's a lot. 169,000? Oh my God. Yeah.
¿Qué vas a decir, Dani?
A lot of Rayados fans.
¿Qué vas a decir, Dani?
Also, in LinkedIn, teacher, Mr. Ezequiel have a lot of followers. For example, in my case, I met before that he joined to ArcelorMittal. I met before in LinkedIn.
Really? So you were a LinkedIn. You were a LinkedIn follower of Mr. Ezekiel before you met.
No, not follower. Yes. It's like what is? Contact.
A blog, a kind of blog.
Okay, vamos a decir acquaintance. La palabra es acquaintance.
¿Qué es eso?
Acquaintance es estás relacionado, pero o conectado, pero no necesariamente es alguien cercano. Se le llama acquaintance. O sea, puedes relacionarte de alguna forma con esa persona, pero no necesariamente es alguien cercano. A eso se le llama un acquaintance. Okay, so if somebody mentions somebody you can relate to, or somebody you may find you may know, but you don't talk to every day, that is an acquaintance. An acquaintance.
Yeah. Es like como un contacto.
Yeah, contact. There's a lot of words you can use, but acquaintance is one. Acquaintance is a very common word in English. Sometimes
kind of colleague.
What's that? Kind of
colleague.
What?
Colleague.
For example, in LinkedIn, teacher, it's very common that we, how do you say, for example, our relationships is between colleagues. For example, Mr. Ezequiel is a professional accountant, and his action area is tax matters. And for example, in my case, it's the same. For the reason we meet as a colleagues.
Right, but colleagues is a little bit closer than an acquaintance. A colleague is someone you do business with. If you do business with a person, that is a colleague. Any type of business is called a colleague. Technically, if you're a workmate, they're colleagues also. Technically, you could say your classmates are colleagues. Okay, so it's actually closer to be a colleague than it is to be an acquaintance. Acquaintance is another step further out. Acquaintance. So, for example, let's say...
Es como decir un conocido.
Yes, un conocido. For example, I have an acquaintance that passed away. There's an acquaintance from Xerox that passed away from the COVID-19. She passed away recently.
Very bad.
And I don't really know her. I don't really talk to her, but I know who she is because I used to see her, but I really was not her friend. I just, she was an acquaintance in the company. So I remember seeing her, and I know her name. And then lately, I found out that she passed away from COVID-19, and she was only 45 years old.
Very young.
Very young. So,
it's like your age, teacher.
Yeah, I know, but I can't believe that she passed away. I'm not sure why. Maybe she was. I don't know the details.
In the past, when I heard this word that pass away, in my mind, I imagine that it's like a kind of test, teacher.
No, pass away is the
como pasar al otro lado.
Sí, y suena mejor que usar die. Si usas la palabra die, morir, o sea, ¿qué es esto? Died. Suena un poquito más como que inapropiado si le dices a alguien, I'm sorry that blah, blah, blah died. Debes decir, I'm sorry that tal y tal persona passed away. Passed away es como pasó a un mejor lugar.
Teacher, is perhaps how to say the best way to say trying to not being rude, because for example, one day I remember I was in the United States and someone asked in the restaurant for a piece of pork, and other person tell us, please, in the United States we don't say pork, we said swine. Why? Because sounds better.
Yeah, pork sounds a little cheap. ¿Sabes qué significa cheap?
Barato.
Barato y corriente.
Okay. Okay.
Pork es barato y corriente.
Sounds better.
Swine viene de pork, pero es buena calidad.
Como porcino.
Yeah, it's a quality meat, swine. And pork
o pudiéramos decir, there is fancy pork meat.
Yeah, no para sonar racista, pero a los negros les gustan los pork chops.
Las ribs.
Yeah, chuletas de puerco.
A mí también, teacher.
A mí también.
maybe because I am a little nigga, teacher. I am brownie.
You're a little dark. They eat a lot of pork chops. Comen mucho más pork chops que res o pollo. Bueno,
y también and maybe the niggas likes what is the ribs, no, teacher? The pork ribs.
Ya se dicen niggas, ya es definitivamente racista.
Okay. The color people likes like the pork ribs, not, teacher?
Yeah, so you could say African American, you can say colored people, people of color. But is it people of color or colored people? But it's best to say African American people like pork chops. Suena mejor.
Pero pork chops, ¿qué son? ¿A poco esas son las ribs de pork?
Chuletas, ajá.
Ah, no, yo decía las que son como ribs, teacher. Las costillas.
Pork ribs. A eso le pones la palabra ribs en lugar de chops. Porque chops viene la chuleta, viene la
pieza completa.
La rebanada completa.
Sí, de hecho me acabo de comer a couple of pork chops. Few minutes before to the class, teacher.
Before the class, you had a pork chop.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are delicious.
Teacher, okay, but teacher, in this case, for example, when we express about someone that is African American, the best correct to refer them is as African Americans or Afro Americans? Yeah. Because nigger is bad, no?
Nigger is definitely wrong, totally wrong. The word is.
But it's a name of a singer.
Yes, but yeah, it is the name of a singer. But that's very well nowadays.
It's offensive.
Nowadays, they can call each other nigga, no problem. But they don't want anybody else calling them nigga.
Among them, there is no problem.
Right. Among them, no problem whatsoever. Okay. The problem is when when somebody else calls them that, then they get upset, which sounds wrong. I mean, you would imagine that that it should not be a problem. I mean, if they call each other niggas, then everybody should be able to call them niggas. But no, it's best to say Afro-American if you have to. The best thing is not to use the topic of their skin in a conversation. Okay, the best thing. The best thing is consider them just like every other person. Don't use the topic of the skin unless it's absolutely necessary. Like maybe somebody robbed you and the policeman come and he said he wants a description of the person, then you can say an Afro-American person robbed me. He's wearing blue jeans and a red shirt and a black cap, and you can that's a good description, but not discriminatory. Okay, that's a good description. That is not discriminatory. Afro-American. But if you say a nigga came and robbed me, and the police officer is Afro-American,
oh, you are in trouble.
He probably is not going to help you very much. He probably will not help you very well. So the correct word is Afro-American. Afro-American people like pork chops. They like pork ribs. They like pork meat, usually.
And teacher, and what is about the white people? Is whiteys, or what is the correct expression?
Anglo. An Anglo-American is a white person. But you can use the word white and they don't get insulted. They're okay with it. So you cannot use the word black for blacks, but you can use the word white for whites. And so I mean, it's just a culture thing. Okay. But the correct word is Anglo, but on the driver's license, it does say white. Here, Anglo-American. Remember, Anglo-American is white. Native American is Indian. Original American Indians. Those are Native Americans. Okay, we talked about this, and then of course you use Hispanic. We talked about that too on the last class. So what about number 3, Mr. Ezekiel? On the first
on his first journey, Basho traveled a long way and visited his native village.
Journey, yes.
Yeah, it's very potato, teacher.
Well, if a journey, it means it's a long trip. That means you probably stopped at a few places. So let's say that you're going to take a trip to Europe, and then from Europe, you're going to go to Italy, and then you're going to stop in China, and then you're going to go by Japan, and then you're going to stop in Africa. That's a journey. It's a long journey. That means technically a journey, you're stopping in more than one place, and it's probably going to be a long time.
If for example, if you ride by motorcycle to, I don't know, from Mexico to the US, maybe it's a journey, because in the way you have to stop, maybe in the rest areas.
Right.
And if you travel in a maybe in a group.
Yeah, definitely. If it's going to take a long time, it's a journey. It doesn't necessarily be. You don't necessarily have to go from country to country, but if it's going to take a long time, then yes, it is a journey. Okay. It is a journey. Journey.
Number 4.
What do you say for number 4, Miss Danny? Basho became.
Okay, teacher. Basho became restless and did not want to stay in one place for very long term.
Correct. Basho became restless. Restless. A restless person can mean a lot of things. Sometimes restless means that for a baby, it could mean that the baby's sick or uncomfortable, okay? A restless adult could mean that the person has bad habits. Maybe he's a drunk, maybe he drinks too much, maybe he parties too much. For example, if you have a friend that doesn't sleep all night and he drinks all night, that's a restless person. You could say that's a restless person. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's used for many things. Mr. Ezekiel, number 5.
Basho felt all kinds of strong emotions in his travels, such as fear, loneliness, and happiness. Loneliness and happiness.
Correct. Loneliness and happiness. He was an emotional person.
Okay.
Fear, miedo. Loneliness, soledad. Happiness, felicidad. He experienced all 3. Any questions?
No.
Now, do you remember
No,
do you remember the reading?
Yeah.
What's the answer to number 1, Mr. Danny?
Okay, Basso wrote about emotions, teacher?
Or
haikus?
There's the answer. It's multiple choice. What happened with you, Danny?
Okay, sorry. He said he wrote about flowers in his first haiku.
Yeah, exactly.
He wrote about flowers. That is correct.
What it costs? What it costs? ¿Qué te cuesta?
It's what about number 2, Mr. Ezekiel?
Before Basho, haiku was an important kind before Basho, haiku. Okay. Was not. I don't remember the answer, but I think it's the number the first option.
Number 3.
Correct.
Correct.
No, I don't remember, teacher.
It's the second option, no, teacher, because in this case the haiku was invited or popularized by Basho.
It says he became one of Japan's most famous poets, and his work established haiku as an important art form. Right here, this section, right here. Technically, it doesn't say that it did not exist. It says that it established it as an important art form.
O sea, como que antes no era tan importante, existía, pero no era tan importante.
Right. No dice que no existía, pero se convirtió en algo importante. Así que podemos asumir indirectamente
¿Qué es esa? ¿Qué es esa?
que it was not an important kind of poetry. Esto está muy bueno. Ese comentario técnicamente no dice la respuesta, ¿verdad? No. Bueno, en la mayoría de los exámenes, por ejemplo, que va a tomar Joyce, ya viene lectura y indirectamente, ¿verdad? Tú tienes que llegar a la mejor conclusión de las respuestas. Hay muchas preguntas como estas. Okay? So you have to pay attention to the reading and take notes. It's good to take notes because it does not provide an answer, but you have to look for the most important. And you can it wasn't important because he did important. So there's no way. And it doesn't say that it did not exist. There's no confirmation. So the only possible answer is number 3.
It's like a discard.
Right. I'll tell you what it's called. It's called the process of elimination.
Elimination process.
Yeah, process of elimination, así se le llama. Entonces, si aplicas el process of elimination, the third part is the correct part. Okay, we're going to use
the problem of the process of elimination is take a lot of time, not teacher?
Yes, but sometimes you don't have an option. It is more time consuming. It is more time consuming, but sometimes it's the only option. Right?
Or maybe a bet. If there is two answers, you have 50% of possibilities.
Yeah, but most exams usually have what is called the best answer. So you have to pay very good attention to the detail. You have to pay very close attention to the detail. Okay, because in this case, it was not an important kind of poetry because he made it an important kind of poetry. So number one is eliminated. And it does not say anywhere, no information that indicates did not exist. So we cannot assume that it did not exist because we have no confirmation about that. So that's eliminated. There you have a process of elimination of number 1 and 2. And if he made it an important kind of poetry, that means that before him, it was not an important kind of poetry. Indirectly, this is correct. What about number 3, Mr.
Danny?
Danny, okay. In Edo, aka Tokyo, Basho studied poetry.
In Edo, Basho
studied poetry, teacher.
That is correct. I think, you know what? I can't remember.
I'm not sure, teacher, about the answer.
You're not sure? Let me check.
Nope.
Basho was born Matsuo Monofasa near Kyoto in 1644. Basho is his name, used as a poet. He did not want to become a samurai like his father. Instead, he moved to Edo, present-day Tokyo, and studied poetry. Very good, Mr. Danny.
Such.
So, yes, he remembers. Mr. Danny's got a good memory, and he put on here.
Teacher, when I use it to compete in athletic events, one of my best wishes in this moment was one day run in Tokyo. For this reason, I, how do you say, memorize that Edo was the previous name of Tokyo.
Ah, okay.
Oh.
So he's got a good memory.
Yeah.
As a better than average memory, mejor que nivel promedio. Yeah. Having a good memory helps you a lot when you're in college and for testing and for stuff like that. Actually, for work too, of course. I'm very good. I'm pretty good about with numbers. I can memorize numbers.
Really, teacher?
I'm very good about.
What is your number of list in the primary school?
My number of list?
Yeah, número de lista. Yo era el 23 in the what is in the middle school.
Pues te voy a sorprender ahí. Nosotros no nos asignaban números del 1 al 30 dependiendo del número del alumno. Te asignaban un número de alumno de todos los miles de alumnos que estaban ahí.
Ah, la matrícula.
Y yo era el 449951879.
I remember my number in the university. That is six digits. 656952, teacher.
Right? Yeah, it was. See, those are numbers we use a lot, so we remember. We remember those numbers. If you use them repeatedly, you usually remember them. If you use them repeatedly,
in the past, when there is no cellular phones, the people memorize the telephone numbers of his family and his friends, teacher. In the past, And the number of the extension of your co-workers.
Right. Yeah, we remember our phone numbers, and now you lose your phone and you're hopeless. Hablando de less, hopeless if you lose your phone.
The cellular phone substitute your memory ability.
Yes, that's a disadvantage of having. Yeah, now we look for a name. We look for the name when we look for somebody. You know, we don't use the number.
And maybe avoid the mental calculation using a calculator of the cellular phone.
Right. That's true. So number 4, Mr. Ezekiel.
On his journeys, he walked and rode horses. There is two answers in this case.
On his journey, he traveled in boats, walked rode.
Walked and rode horses. The last two options are correct because the story says on foot, on back horses.
He traveled by foot, and he rode horses. Horseback. Horseback is the expression that they use.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Horseback.
Yeah.
So, again, they use the expression horseback. They used to have a carriage back then. You know what a carriage is? Carriage?
Carruaje.
Yes. Carreta, carruaje.
Ancoraje. Carriage. Coraje.
Yeah, carriages also. So usually people travel by carriage also back in those days. All right, Mr. Danny, at the end of his life, Basho what?
Okay, at the end of his life, Basho was famous, and as I remember, he traveled again to Osaka, no, teacher? I have certain doubts about it.
Well, we know he was famous. Yes, that is correct. Now, I think he did travel. That's where he passed away. See, it says he died in 1964 during a journey to Osaka. Technically, right here it says that. So during a journey to Osaka, and at that time he had 2,000 students. So maybe all of it is correct. Let's see, he had 2,000 students. I passed it.
It's in the other way, it's in the opposite way.
Okay, he traveled to Osaka and was famous, no?
Yeah, this is incorrect.
All of them are correct.
Well, the first one is incorrect because it says only a few students. And
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Few means poquitos, unos cuantos.
Yes.
2,000, pues tiene más que yo.
Mm-hmm. Sí. Far away.
Far away too, yes. Had only a few students. Pero con las clases en línea le voy a ganar.
Maybe. Maybe from the jail students. There is another market, teacher, that you have to explode.
Right now I have a student in jail and I have a student in the Stargate.
Yeah, from the other universes.
And I am in a spaceship.
Yeah. With Chewbacca.
With Chewbacca. Yeah, so I have endless, voy a usar la palabra less otra vez, endless possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Endless
posibilidades ilimitadas.
Yes, but let me tell you, I have 2 students in Brazil. Okay, I have several students in the United States. I have students in Mexico, and I have 1 student in Venezuela.
But the people from Brazil is studying English or Spanish?
English. They're learning English. The Brazilian is learning English, and the Venezuelan is learning English also. And the people in the United States, they're learning English also. I'm talking to a person. There's a chief financial officer. It's a CFO of a company that wants to learn Spanish. I'm negotiating that right now. Oh, and he is African American.
Mm. I imagine he needs to study Spanish.
Yes, he wants to learn Spanish. He wants to learn how to speak Spanish. So that would be my well, no, I've taught Spanish before, but I haven't taught Spanish lately. So, as a matter of fact, I'm in the process of buying all the books new, because the last time I taught Spanish was like 6 years ago. So I'm getting all new books, a whole new methodology.
Okay.
And actually, I'm ordering the new. There's going to be version 5 of the books we're using now. So I'm going to be getting those at the beginning of the year. They're going to be available on January 25th.
The number 5, teacher?
25th, yeah. Number 25.
25.
January 25th. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those, because my understanding is they come with a lot of new PowerPoint presentations, and it comes with a lot of new videos. And I love those interactive tools. I enjoy those. Well,
yeah, maybe they're included contemporaneous topics.
Right, I think so. I think they're going to include modern. Every time the new books come out, they have a whole bunch of new topics, good conversational topics. They get better and better every time. I like that. So that's pretty good. Now, let's see. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's see. We were discussing the verb be. First of all, in affirmative negative statements, we know how to use it. Remember that the verb be in the past is was or were. We're talking about the simple past. In the verb be, in my opinion, is the easiest, because you only have was or were, and it's singular or plural. So anytime you talk about anything in the past, you say I was if it's one person, or you were if it's more than one person, right? Right. So we need to remember that those are the only two forms of the verb be in the past. The simple the verb be in the present, it has 3 forms: am, is, and are, right? But in the past, it has 2 forms: was, were, or wasn't, weren't if it's negative, right? And remember that the verb be has its own rules. You don't use did. You use was I, were you, okay? But you don't mix it with the other expressions. Even if you use WH questions, you can say, who were you, when were you famous, why were you famous, why were you in class, okay? Or were you in class? And you always answer with the verb be. Yes, I was. No, I wasn't. You don't say, yes, I happy. If somebody says, were you happy? Yes, I was. You don't say, yes, I happy, or no, I no happy. You say, I was, or no, I wasn't. Okay, that's the verb be. The verb be has its own rules, but the other verbs are different. Regular verbs and irregular verbs require you to conjugate the verb, the action verb. Usually, it's I moved. You add an ed. I travel. You add an ed. I traveled. But if it's irregular, you're conjugating it with irregular verbs. You need to learn the irregular verbs. It's a matter of vocabulary. There's no formula. You have to know the word. Come, came.
Yeah. There is a formula. There is a what is a formula, teacher? The formula to learn the list of the bunch of irregular verbs is the context, teacher. Do you know that?
The context.
Yeah. It's the key of success.
Yes, the contest. That's right. The key to success is put a contest on it. Yeah, we could.
Maybe if you remember what I don't know, it is like a web page or something like that. That is showing the correct. But maybe you can make what is the name? A Kahoot with the irregular verb teacher.
I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to have the problem with that. I've been using the Kahoot for some of my other students, but the problem with that is I got to let one of my kids sit down and type it up because it takes a long time to put together. I noticed that preparing a Kahoot takes like an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours. And it's hard for me to find it.
But you can use a lot, teacher, with in all of your classes.
Yes. So what I did was I told my daughter, Livni, to make me the. I'm gonna have to pay her irregular verbs.
It's your assistance.
Yes, I'm gonna have to pay my assistant to make me a Kahoot. I'm gonna have to tell her I give you this much for every Kahoot you make me, and I'm gonna have her.
Or maybe your daughter, teacher.
That's who I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah. Because maybe the fee is lower than the other option.
Yeah, it should be cheaper. Should be lower, because but yeah. Now my kids charge me for everything. How they used to do everything free, but now they charge me. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know.
Don't your kids? I mean, in the past, you would wash the car, and there they were washing the car with you, right?
Yeah.
And then they would wash the car for 10 pesos, for 20 pesos. They were happy to wash.
Teacher, with 10 pesos, no, maybe 50 or 100, teacher. It's more expensive. It's more expensive than the car wash.
Yeah, well, when they were little, they would wash the car for 10 pesos, for 20 pesos when they were little, when they were 5 years old.
There are another times, teacher.
Yeah, now they don't want to wash the car at all, not even for 100 pesos.
Teacher, I remember that I watched my father's car only with the, how do you say, with the idea or hope to find some coins, how do you say, for getting into the car, because my father and my mother never give me nothing.
Yeah. Would you get lucky? Maybe get some coins, no?
Yes, and obviously my mother told me, if you found some coins are from you. If you found.
Okay,
yeah.
that's in similar than that. My wife is very lucky, but because she find what is billet? ¿Cómo se dice billetes, teacher? Bills in the buckets.
Bills.
In the when she washes the clothes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I have a lady that cleans my house, and she washes the clothes. But when she finds the bills, she has to give them back. Because I'm real bad. I'm real bad about leaving a lot of my stuff in my pockets. I'm real bad about that. So we don't tell her that she can keep them, because sometimes it can be 1,000 pesos. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Or maybe just and a half. Maybe you she delivered just and a half.
Just and a half. Well,
but Mr. Ezequiel, the thing that I learned to control this kind of losses is use for everything, or most of the time, your credit card. And in this moment, you control all your expenses with your bank account.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there is another problem, because maybe I don't know in your case, but in my case, it's like it's worse than the Mexican IRS, In my case, my wife is asking the bank statements in order to check all movements, teacher. It's like a nightmare.
Yeah, you're telling me. My wife is a administrator. That's what she does for a living. So yeah, she wants all the passwords to my bank accounts.
Oh, it's very dangerous, teacher.
She can check them. Yeah, I got one or two that she doesn't have.
Yeah, you need to collect some classes in cash, teacher, in order to
actually,
avoid the fiscalization.
That's why I like having particulares, because empresas, they deposit directly to the main account, right? But the particulares, I tell them, hey, go deposit it Oxxo. I got saldazo. That's my money.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a not reportable incomes.
Yeah, that's not reportable. I don't have to report it to my wife either. So, so that's play money for me. The saldazo, and actually with the online classes, I have a lot more customers like that. It's well, at least for now. Normally, I have a lot of companies, but the companies cut back because of the COVID-19, right? Well, maybe in 2021 they come back, but what I like is that the online classes started a lot of customers. I mean, I have a lot of new groups that are all particulares, individuals. So now my base for that type of income is a lot better now. So when the companies come back, I'm gonna let my wife have that. But I think she knows now. I think she knows, because there were a lot of new. I started over 50 students in the last 3 months with individual classes. So that's a lot. I mean, that's unheard of. That's a lot. It's never happened. I think it's going to continue now, because people are adapting to the change of having a good computer. Now people are buying a better computer. They're buying online. They're getting better internet service, and I think they're going to keep the online classes.
Teacher, I don't know if you know, but right now it's very complicated to get a computer, teacher. There are few computers in the market. It's impossible to get one, the new one.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I haven't bought one yet.
Yes, teacher. I for example, I was in Querétaro at the end of August, and when you go to Liverpool, Palacio de Hierro, and all of these kind of stores, for example, it's really impossible to get a computer, because, for example, they tell us if they received 20 computers during the day, they sold the same computers in the same day. For me, I was very lucky, because in the last day that I was in Querétaro, I catch 2 computers for my daughters, but was something really difficult. And obviously, you catch it perhaps not the computer that you want. You catch the computer that you found you have available.
And the most expensive.
Wow.
Yes, most expensive, because you can choose. Well, you can choose buy the computer that you have in front of you, or not buy. This is the only thing that you can choose.
When I was in Liverpool asking for a computer from my daughter that is like a Mac that is expensive, there is a wait list, teacher. If maybe today is September, maybe in July, if you buy in July, the laptop arrived in September, teacher, 2 months later.
Wow, that's a lot. I think I got lucky. I got lucky with the kids, because we bought them new computers last year. So we got fortunate, because they first we bought Libni a computer for her birthday in June, and then usually when we buy one something, we buy the other one the same thing. So for Leo's birthday in December, we bought him a computer. So both have new computers. So we got lucky.
The problem with the computers is like a discardable computers, teacher, right now, because just the good life of the computers is more like in average like 3 years, teacher. Depend of the brand. For
Depending on the
example,
brand.
Lenovo, IBM, this kind of brands, just 3 or 4 years if you get lucky. I think the most durable laptop is the Mac.
The Mac is the most durable. That is true.
And it's expensive. And the problem is the operating system that is different than the standard that is Windows.
Right. The truth is, though, that if you only use it for work and for school, I mean, you can have the same computer for 5 years. I mean, maybe the battery stops charging and you buy a new battery, but it'll last 5 years if you take care of it. If you install a bunch of games and download a bunch of music and a bunch of viruses, you ruin it really fast. So, but if you use it for work, like office documents, check your email, just regular work and school, a good computer like a Dell will probably be good for a Dell or a Lenovo is probably good for 5 years. And then if you actually,
For example, teacher, I use currently I am using a Dell computer. The owner is the company, and for example, I have around 4 years with this computer, and now the battery is not function, and I spent 2 months trying to get the battery, and finally I buy a battery, but as Ezequiel mentioned, I pay the battery, and I am now in a list of how do you say, in a standby list, and I hope to receive the battery at the beginning of October.
But you use to tell you the truth, I maybe because of my work, I always work at a place where I have a plug. So I use my battery very little. I very rarely do I need. I mean, even if my battery is bad, I can still work fine with the computer because everywhere I go, I have a plug. I mean, when I go to every meeting room, there's a plug.
But I think the problem with the batteries, the batteries is I think it's manufactured in order to be good. I don't know, 1 or 2 years, because the life of the battery is degrading in the time, teacher.
Yeah. Usually they're 2 years, maybe 3 at the most. Batteries don't last very long. But there's a place in Cumbres that rebuilds the battery. They
Yes,
open it.
or in the Plaza de la Tecnología, teacher. I know, but the problem is in Lázaro Cárdenas, maybe it's most difficult to get batteries, teacher.
Okay, yeah. There's Lázaro Cárdenas.
Teacher,
it's a small city.
No, it's a very it's a small town because we have only one Walmart, one Soriana, and one Bodega Aurrera, and no more than that. And for example, teacher, other important thing in regard to a laptop is when you have a laptop that doesn't work with the battery, you don't have a laptop, you have a desktop, because you need to you need to always work plug it the computer rather than work without any wire or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I usually have.
For example, I'm going to put you an example. For example, Ezequiel is rarely, but in some occasions, Ezequiel send an email at Friday 10 a.m. something like that. And for example, in these cases, I saw that Ezequiel asking for something, and for me, when my computer works well, was very simple to open the computer, how do you say, start the computer, send the email, and conclude. Now I need to plug the computer. You need to do more things. You depend more on a cable rather than a battery. It's not functional.
Yeah, it's true. Well, plus sometimes you gotta, yeah, like you said, you gotta move it. So if you move it around a little bit, and sometimes, for example, when I go to a company, like I remember when I was going to Costa Verde, sometimes I gotta wait in the lobby for Mr. Ezekiel because Mr. Ezekiel would take forever to come out, and I can answer my emails or I can advance on my work, and you need a battery for that. You're not gonna plug in to the receptionist desk. So yeah, you still need a battery. if you're going around to different places, you need a battery. Well, right now with today's topic, we're almost at gonna close the day. But what I'm going to do is I'm gonna send you the screenshots. Let's practice, okay? Let's start practicing. I'm gonna send you a screenshot of the regular and irregular verbs in affirmative, negative, yes or no questions. And during the day, this week until Tuesday, I want you to have a conversation describing what you did every day. So at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you, today I didn't have class, or today I had, and I'm going to use a regular word, a regular verb in the past. I'm going to say I had 3 classes. Oh, I traveled to San Nicolas. Or I didn't travel, or I commuted. So what I want you to do is, so that we don't forget that we're working in the irregular, we're working with irregular and irregular verbs in the past. Let's use our structure and our grammar to describe what we did every day, okay? Can you do that via WhatsApp? And if you want, for example, if you ate a pizza, take a picture of the pizza. Say, today I enjoyed, you put it in the past, I enjoyed a pepperoni pizza from Little Caesars. And you can put a picture of the pizza. That way we can have a conversation all day long, every day, until next class, using the class topic. Okie dokie?
Okay.
And maybe Joyce will join us in the conversation.
Teacher.
I recorded the class. I'm going to stop the recording so that Joyce can see it, or any of us can review it. And I'll send you the link later on today, okay? Any questions?
Danny, any questions?
No, by my side, teacher, I understand clearly.
Okie dokie. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great day. I will see you next Tuesday. Have a great weekend.
Okay, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
See you on Tuesday.